food is good, and that's the one and only. Joe's so delicious. You know, he doesn't disrespect me. Like, hey, wait a minute. I tell you what.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
Come back near me again. I told you, next time I see you know what? You know what, right? What?
Oh my God!
Come on, get up! Get up! Get up!
Another day, another time, Rods. You get the one up on this one.
I told you,
but there'll be another day.
You know what?
No, you know what? Another day, another time.
I said, Rods. Don't get
Listen, I don't care how many people you paid off to get in the Hall of Fame. I'm not
unpredictable one for nothing. I got stuff you're never gonna find. All right? Don't just get near me.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
This guy, respect for this kid. He has no idea who I am. They don't call me the unpredictable one for nothing. Next time I get him, I'm gonna put my boots on and go in the ring with him and teach him a lesson that he's never gonna forget.
Well, you may put your boots on. This is Jerry Fitzwater about to put a new pair of pants on because that was intense. This is the living legend, Johnny Rods, and I have a feeling we haven't seen the end of this. Back to you. Don Tony, hey, what, is that Grim Reaper? Right now, is that him?
Yes, it is.
Tell him I said hello. Tell him I said I like his hat. Tell him I said that.
He said he likes your hat.
It's a great hat, I love it.
He said the pink hat?
Oh, no. Anyways.
It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
All right. Yeah, I can't believe it was only a week ago that Kevin and I did that Thanksgiving episode on Sunday night, but we are back with the Sit Down. It is December 1st, 2024. Welcome to your latest edition of the Sit Down with yours truly, Don Tony. I hope everyone is having a wonderful weekend. Happy holidays to everyone out there. And Don Tony was in a reminiscent frame of mind all day long. And if I can open up with a little personal note, I think you'll get a kick out of this. Many of you out there know that Kevin and I have been wrestling fans since 1979. And the first time that I ever saw wrestling, my grandmother was babysitting yours truly and my brother at her house. My parents went out for the evening, and it was around midnight, and me and my brother used to stay in this separate room. My grandmother had this little black and white television on her dresser, and I heard a lot of commotion going on. So I got out of bed and I walked up to my grandmother's bed and I said, "Nanny, what are you watching?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm watching wrestling." And I was like, "What's that?" She's like, "Sit." So I sat for about maybe 15, 20 minutes, and I was amazed with what I was seeing. Now, keep in mind, I'm only 10 years old at the time. So, ended up going to sleep a little bit late. And my mom sees us the next afternoon, and she's asking us, what did we do? And I used to play crazy eights with my grandmother, and, we did a few things, around the house. And I mentioned to my mom that Nanny let me watch wrestling. And my mom laced into my grandmother and ripped her apart. She's like, don't let him watch that. He's only 10 years old. I knew whatever it was, I needed to see it again. And ever since that day, I was a wrestling fan for life. And if you've also heard me tell stories about my grandmother over the years, she was one of those that anything that I wanted, if she could give it to me, she would. Probably one of the reasons why I'm still heavy is back when I was a kid, like my mom would have this big cookie jar on the table. And, we would be like a Saturday afternoon because my grandmother always came by to visit on Saturdays. And I would say, Mom, can I have a cookie? And my mom would be like, no, you have to eat your dinner first. And my mom would go in the other room to do something. And my grandmother would take a cookie out. She's like, go. Don't tell your mom. That's what my grandmother was. And she was a doll. And for all of you out there that always wanted to see a picture of her, and there's a reason why I'm bringing her up today. This is the infamous picture of yours truly getting graduated from high school in 1987. That is my mom if you're looking at the picture to my left, well, to my right, technically, the one with the black outfit, that is my mom. She used to be a stick. She was a lot skinnier when she was younger. All the way to the far left with the flowered outfit was my grandmother on my dad's side. That was my dad's mom. On the right is my grandmother. I always called her Nanny. You see her, she's a little plumped. I always thought she looked like Sweet Hansen with tits. She was a little plumped angel, and she was taken from us way too soon. And I can honestly say that a lot of the good that I do, it's because of her. I have relatives still to this day that'll say, that's your grandmother talking. That's your grandmother talking. Well, today, December 1st, 2024, my grandmother would have been 100 years old. 100 years ago today, my grandmother was born. And unfortunately, she was taken from us back in 1991. And I still miss her to this day. The biggest, keep in mind, she died in 91, everyone. The biggest Hulk Hogan fan you could ever find. I've told so many stories about her over the years. She hated Roddy Piper, despised Roddy Piper. Roddy Piper was the first wrestling figure that I ever owned. And I can't tell you how many times as a kid I would troll my grandmother. My grandmother would be sitting at the table on a Saturday reading a newspaper, and I would take the Roddy Piper figure, put it right next to her. She'll look over and she'll get that shit out of the way. So 100 years ago today, she was born. I miss her. I really miss her tremendously. I wish my wife would have got to meet her. She's just everything about her. She reminds me of, you remember Golden Girls, the real tall one, Maud? She reminds me of Maud in a lot of ways, but just genuinely nice. Really, really wonderful woman. So, and by the way, last Sunday when Kevin and I were doing the show and we were talking about a few things, I found a couple of other old pictures of yours truly. And do you remember we were talking about WHT, Metco Home Theater? That was the first cable that we ever got to enjoy. It was a cable channel and it came in a box. I actually found a picture of yours truly from, I think, 1978. And check out my pants, everyone. I think it's purple on the right and like a different color purple on the left. If you look at the left side of the picture, that square box is Metco Home Theater. And you remember I told you about the statue the night that scared the shit out of me where I lived in my basement? That is a small figure of this. My father, I never asked my father, why was he obsessed with these Italian like knights from the 1600s? But yeah, go figure, there's another knight on the TV. But yeah, that's what Metco Home Theater used to be. You just flick a switch and you got cable TV, just one channel, but it was pretty good. So, and the night I've only gone away with my parents 2 times in my entire life outside of Florida, not too long ago. And the first time that we ever went away was in 1977, the weekend that Elvis Presley died. We went to Wildwood, New Jersey, and that is actually a picture of me. The weekend Elvis Presley died. That is me in Wildwood, New Jersey, sporting a Met shirt. And yeah, for everybody that always gets into my dad was gangster back in the day. Tell me my father doesn't look like mafioso. So that's a picture of my dad. And yeah, there's a picture of us. This is the only other trip we ever went on, the cruise trip. That is me all the way on the right, wearing the white pants. That was the Miami Vice days. That was 1986. And one other picture I'll share. This was how I slept. We had bunk beds. I slept on the top bunk bed. I had to use a ladder to get into my bed. The problem was I started to bedwet. And that was not fun because my brother got an unintentional golden shower once in a while. But yeah, I started wetting the bed. I don't know why. I found so many pictures. I went through my archives. I found the old pictures when we used to Photoshop Hulk Hogan as a member of the Rolling Stones. I don't know if you remember when we did that. That's when we were going to make Hulk Hogan is full of shit.com. And here's another one when Hulk Hogan started claiming that he was going to be in Metallica. That we did this, God, how many years ago? So, yeah, I was going through the old hard drive today. And how was everybody's Thanksgiving? Who celebrates it? Was it good? I actually got a 1-minute video clip of me eating Thanksgiving with my family. I'm going to share it with everybody. I promise you, you will laugh your ass off because it'll give you a vibe of what eating with my family is like. And you'll hear my dad. My dad had something on his phone. We didn't know what it was. And as you hear this video, you hear my mother keep saying, like, who sent you that perverted stuff? Calling my dad a pervert. This was Thanksgiving a couple of days ago. So I wanted to see what was on the phone, and I share it. I don't think I'll get in trouble from YouTube, but if you want to get an idea, this is 1 minute long, and this is Thanksgiving. Just wait for it. Wait for it. I promise you, you'll appreciate it.
The turkey she brought out, that's what it was.
I thought you were showing it to Daniela.
I'm just showing the food. Osso buco. Everybody knows what osso buco is.
Stop it.
All right, here it comes.
I don't got no glasses.
All right, wait for it.
That to you.
There's my dad.
What perv?
That's my mom. It's coming. It's coming.
Let me see it again. I get yelled at. I didn't do that.
She wants to see it.
Yeah, let me see it again. I would have.
My mom's calling my dad a pervert. So I'll show you why.
Just put it up.
My cousin Mary wouldn't send that to you. A perv.
Wait for it. Here it is.
Down the block. Hey, sit down.
Stop, babe, stop. Wait for it.
Here it comes. There it is. Watch. That was my dinner. Here, look.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable.
Did you see it, Daniela?
Nia Jax tits. My wife was not happy.
Happy Thanksgiving, honey.
Yeah. She's like, yeah, whatever. So there you go. Woo. Unbelievable. I got one more video I'll share with everyone. You'll get a kick out of this. Wrestling events. You go and you sit ringside. If you pay enough money for the ticket, you get to take home the chair. And I've told this story once or twice over the years. I think I might have shown the video once before, but a lot of you have never seen the video. I think I was the first person in wrestling ever to come up with the idea that you go to a special event, you take home the chair. Because I have in front of you right now, we won't do the audio. We won't do the audio because you really don't need to hear it. But this is my graduation ceremony. The same day you saw the picture of my grandmother. Now, I slowed it down just for a few seconds. And if you check it out, give it about 10 seconds, you'll see yours truly. I kind of stand out because I'm one of the tallest people in the school, but pay very close attention. You'll see me walking out and you'll see me carrying something. I should be into there. Okay. You'll see me. We always put our friends on our shoulders. There, you'll see me any minute. There you see. You see the hair? You see the hair? Okay, you see right in the middle of your screen? That is me. Now, pay very close attention of what I'm carrying on the way out of my graduation ceremony. Wrestling always says you take home the chair after you go to your event. I graduated from high school and I took home the chair. I took home the chair. That was 1987. A couple of us took home the chairs. Yeah, we were cool, man. We were cool. Look at those haircuts. They all look like Bailey. Am I wrong? Don't they all look like Bailey? They all look like Bailey. So, all right. Enough of the vintage stuff. Oh, I got more. Here's my favorite picture related to the DTKC show. About 10 years ago, one of our listeners went to one of those, like the secondhand stores that you go to and you buy stuff for dirt cheap. He went into one of these secondhand stores and they were selling T-shirts for like $2 a piece. Go figure. That is not photoshopped. Look at the mirror image on the bar, the metal bar. Somebody was selling, gave to this secondhand shop the Goodwill, Don, Tony, and Kevin Castle shirt. That's the first shirt that we ever had. We didn't even have a name on it. It was just our heads. Unbelievable. Somebody found that at a Salvation Army. So pretty epic. My bird Fred that I always talk about, he was born in 1994. This is a picture of me holding him in 1995. People say I look like Dexter Loomis in that photo. I don't know. But Freddie's still kicking. He's still kicking. That picture's from almost 30 years ago. He's still kicking. So, I know that's not why you're here. We're going to talk mostly about wrestling. For everybody who is live, you dictate what we talk about. And it could be wrestling, could be non-wrestling, even though 99% of the show is usually wrestling. Survivor Series went down last night. I did the news update 5 minutes after it went off the air. And I got to be honest with you, Kevin and I are going to do a full review tomorrow night. We definitely have a lot to say about it. Maybe because the Bloodline match was so good that since I did the news update immediately after Survivor Series ended, I had that feeling coming off of the Bloodline match. Late last night, I watched a lot of it back again, and I started to see a little bit closer that, this might have been more of like a one-match pay-per-view. Although I really like Braun Breaker, Ludwig Kaiser, and Sheamus, although I think it should have went a little bit longer. The women's match fell a little bit flat. I saw somebody sent a super chat in about Rhea Ripley, and I am going to say something about Rhea Ripley right now. Some people may not like it. Some people may agree. The beauty of what Kevin and I do is we're opinion shows. And take note, guys, take note. We don't get into internet wars with anyone, even when we criticize. And the reason being is because when we criticize, we're expressing why we feel a certain way. To just say someone sucks, why do they suck? Well, they suck. They don't wrestle good. It's you got to be a little bit more than that. And plus, people do it to get noticed. There's ways of doing it in a respectable way. But I got to tell you, WWE's on a roll right now. I don't know how much this roll continues. I'm not predicting doom and gloom. I'm not saying that. But, there's a lot about the WWE that we can complain about. I mean, one thing that Kevin and I picked up on almost a year ago when we were still doing those very rare episodes because we were not back full-time as a team. One thing we picked up almost a year ago is they sure damn like to take the scenic route more times than not. Now, yeah, CM Punk was shoved in there a week before the event, and so was Bronson Reed. And that's because they wanted to milk it and stretch it all the way until it was close to Survivor Series, making us wonder, is The Rock going to be there? Who's the fifth man? Maybe it'll be 4-on-4. Maybe new members of the Bloodline will debut. And then they wait a week before and throw that in there. LA Knight and Shinsuke Nakamura 2 weeks ago wasn't even a thing. You just hit the ring, attack somebody twice, and you get a title shot on a pay-per-view. I mean, if we're putting storyline into play, why would Nick Aldis do that? I mean, if LA Knight wants to get his hands on Nakamura and LA Knight makes an offer he can't refuse to Nick Aldis, then that's fine. But it's very stupid to see someone who wrestles on TV week in and week out and week in and week out and week in and week out and complain to Nick Aldis or Adam Pearce, I want a title shot. I want an opportunity. All I want is an opportunity. I want a title shot. I want a title shot. You got to earn it. You got to earn it. You got to go through this. You got to do that. You got people doing tournaments, and then they lose tournaments, and they go another tournament, and they get a speed tournament, an IC tournament, and then it's tournament. All Nakamura does is show up, spit mist, hit a move, and now he's got the fucking belt. I'm not complaining about Nakamura winning the belt. Kevin and I predicted it on Monday that shit was going to happen. You don't bring back Nakamura to lay flat on his face again unless he's about to leave the company. But as far as Rhea Ripley goes, and, I want to acknowledge a super chat to open up the show. Remember, super chats are not required. They help pay the bills, obviously. They help us grow as well, so they will always get a little bit of priority. But this was Curated Vibrations. DeMarcus sent this in and said Rhea Ripley's face run is now on 2015 Roman Reigns levels. And I got to be honest with you, this is espresso. They have a problem. They have a problem with Rhea Ripley. And I'm trying to think, is this the same problem that they're sort of having with Nia Jax to a different level? It's fine being on top. It's fine giving someone that championship. Then you say to yourself, who do you feud with? Who do you feud with? Who do you feud with? And remember, Rhea Ripley got injured and had to surrender the belt. And Liv Morgan was given the honors. Liv Morgan has taken the opportunity and ran with it. It's not Rhea Ripley's fault. I want to make this clear. It's not her fault. Blame the producer that produced that match at Survivor Series. Blame creative for them wanting to go this way. We brought up the Wyatt 6. I said it a month ago. Wyatt 6 a month ago was in the on the main roster now for 6 months, at least 6 months. All they did was American made. For 6 months, American made. Now they're doing something with the Final Testament. And now we are 5 weeks into this. 5 weeks, I think, because when was Paul Ellering laid out? About 3 or 4 weeks ago? And then you had a week or two before that. And now we got, this might even be 6 weeks. What has happened? What matches have happened? Can we all say that we absolutely love Bray Wyatt and we miss him and we appreciate the hard work and dedication that the Wyatt 6 is doing to keep his spirit alive and have a little bit of an addition to it? But I remember saying this about 3 months ago, and I got criticized big time about it. And I said, it doesn't feel like Triple H has a lot of, emotional thought for Bray Wyatt's memory, but I don't think they have a lot invested in this Wyatt 6. Because if this really was going to be a big aspect of that product, I surely would have thought that now, 7 months in, we would have seen a hell of a lot more. I mean, we're going to go a year with the Wyatt Six. What have they done? What have they done? Other than a physical presentation, what have they done? We could continue on. You have DIY. They're doing the same thing that Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell did. We brought that up 3 weeks ago. They're missing a lot more than I think people realize. And I'm tired of Damian Priest feuding with Judgment Day. I'm tired of Rhea Ripley feuding with Liv Morgan. I'm tired of the Wyatt Six basically just being a spectacle with not much substance to it. The stuff with Miz and Cross has been fun. What happens after that? What happens after that? You look at even SmackDown. What happened to the Street Profits that shit was going to change? That honestly felt like AEW levels now. Like when, wasn't it Dante Martin and his partner teasing a split like a month ago? They were at odds and didn't like Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. Didn't one like take MVP's card? The other one didn't want nothing to do with it, and they're teasing a little shit there. Now we're 5 weeks later, 6 weeks later, there's nothing. Nothing. So Rhea Ripley being used this way, I don't blame her. But man, WWE is making it easy to dislike Rhea Ripley. This is not the John Cena push. This is not even the Roman Reigns 2015 push. You know why? I know she's been injured a little bit this year, but she's only wrestled 2 times on Raw. She's only had 1 singles match on Raw in the entire 2024. And I think that was January 1 against Zelina Vega. I mean, Rhea Ripley, they are treating like they treated Brock Lesnar. Like she should not be this really rare presence in that ring. She cuts promos, she does run-ins. Even when she wasn't injured, she wasn't wrestling on television. I think it's getting easier and easier to dislike her because of creative. Did not like the way that was done at Survivor Series yesterday. And I'm going to say something else. Nobody super chatted about Nia Jax. But I saw all the complaining over the last 24 hours. I saw Nia Jax responding to a lot of that complaining. And the one focus that a lot of people were focusing on were the chair shots during the match at Survivor Series. Now, I have my favorites, obviously. Sometimes I will give them a little bit of extra leash. Nia Jax is not one of my favorites, but I also feel that if you're going to be fair, sometimes even if you don't like someone or something, you got to be pretty straightforward about it. And I am going to defend Nia Jax a little bit for what happened yesterday, and I will show you why. This is why we don't get into feuds online, because we at least add a little substance to it. I want everyone, let me see if I have the match here. I think I do. Let me see if I could upload this. Yes, I do. Let me post this here. Okay. Now, let me pause it. Nia Jax threw some pretty damn weak chair shots yesterday. But what I want everyone to do for a moment is to pay attention just to Naomi, pay attention just to Rhea Ripley. If you watch closely, and if we're going to be fair for a minute, they were not in position to take a chair shot. And I almost think, especially in Naomi's case, because we're not under the Vince regime anymore. She thought, oh, well, I could take a chair shot to the head as long as I block it. And Nia Jax was doing what she does for years and years and years when it comes to a chair. She aims for the back. And if you watch this closely, and if we're going to be fair for a minute, she is trying to hit the back of these women, and they're not in position. So what does she do? And again, I know this is an unpopular take, but you honestly cannot dispute this. All right. Look at Naomi. All right. Now, all that Naomi had to do was just bend down, and Nia does the chair. So watch Naomi quickly. Look, she stands back up. So Nia has to go and hit her on the side. Okay, we'll let that one go. Now you go a little, look. Now Nia wants a hitter in the back. Now, Naomi has to move away from the ropes. Otherwise, it's going to be a bad cartoon. The chair's going to hit the ropes. It's going to hit backwards, and it's going to nail Nia Jax right in the face. So Naomi's got to move away from the ropes. When she moves away from the ropes, look at what she does. She puts her hands up. Nia Jax does not do chair shots to the head, protected or not. WWE doesn't do that. Naomi freezes and puts her hands up. So Nia stops, and look what Nia does. She goes in sideways. With all due respect, if we're going to be fair here, Naomi was a lot to blame as well. Now you go to Rhea Ripley. Now watch Rhea Ripley closely, because all Rhea Ripley had to do was just stay on her hands and not look at Nia Jax and then just take a chair shot to the back. You go to Rhea Ripley. Now Rhea Ripley is staring at Nia Jax in the face. So now the camera's right on them. So what does Rhea Ripley do? Oh, let me get in position to take a chair shot. And look what she does. She tries to get up. She wasn't blocking the chair shot. She's trying. What is Nia supposed to do? So what does Nia do? Look. Now Rhea's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to take the chair shot to the back. I mean, are we going to be a little bit honest here? Look, see that? They're not in position. Look, against the ropes. And instead of going down, let me put the hands up. And Nia's like, no, man, hit her on the side. And then Rhea Ripley, look, instead of taking the chair shot to the back, she tries to get up. And Nia's like, all right, I can't hit you in the back. So, yeah, now she goes down. I mean, again, not trying to say that Nia wasn't wrong at all. Oh, that's Bayley. Excuse me, not Rhea Ripley. Bayley. Sorry, Bayley. I was saying Rhea Ripley, right? That's Bayley. It's their fault. Especially now since I think about it even more, especially that Naomi and Bayley have been at a war with Nia Jax. You know, they're not taking the chair shots the right way. So, you know, if we're going to be honest for a minute, they deserve a lot of the criticism as well. I see a lot of people saying, oh, take the belt off of Nia Jax. Yeah, I agree. But not because of last night. I got news for you. Somebody sent this in also. And I'd love to hear your take on this. Who sent this in earlier? This had to do with Wrestler of the Year. This was Sal Amendola. Sal. He wants me to name the top WWE man and woman of the year, not name Cody Rhodes and Rhea Ripley. Do NXT too if I want. All right. I think Liv Morgan is the women's wrestler of the year for WWE. And I got news for you. If it wasn't going to be Liv Morgan, I think Nia Jax would be very close to that. That just tells you on how shoddy the women's division in the WWE was for 2024. You know, it's nice that they're coming out with these U.S. and Intercontinental Championships for the women, but it's just giving the undercard a little more opportunity to make history. See, That's the thing I think people need to understand. You know, a lot of people say titles don't mean anything anymore. I get that, but in a lot of ways it does, especially when you go back in history. You know, you go back in history and someone fails to have many title reigns. It gives the perception that the company did not feel that person was good enough to represent the division that they were in. So having titles under your belt is definitely a part of your legacy, your history. It also makes you feel that, you know, you're acknowledged, being rewarded for what you do. Listen, you know, you want to be champion. You want to be at the top of what you do. You want to represent that. When you look back at your career, you know, you want to feel you're being rewarded for, you know, your hard work. So that's what these titles are. But how's about improving the women's division a little bit? You know, I saw how people, you know, got all triggered when Kylie Ray, no, not Kylie Ray, who got released with Indy Hartwell? I'm drawing not Dakota Kai. Who's the one that just got released with Indy Hartwell that was teaming up with Natasha? Tegan Nox. I remember Tegan Nox. You know, they released Tegan Nox and then Indy Hartwell, and then they announced the belts, and people were like, oh my God, why did you release them? Now you got more belts. There's going to be more people being released in 2025. You got a bunch of women in NXT that are hungry, that want to go to that main roster and show what they can do. You're probably going to have to do it sooner than later, because with all due respect, they have done a shit job, WWE, with a lot of the women. I heard on Raw it's going to be Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan versus Damage Control. You know, it's like, okay, you know, what are you going to do? Io Sky is going to get a title shot down the line against Liv Morgan. You know, that's really where they want to go with this. But, you know, does it feel like Liv Morgan is going to break away from Rhea Ripley? Now you got to think in the back of your mind, Rhea Ripley could show up anytime that's possible and cause chaos. Meanwhile, she ain't wrestling. I know she's still wearing the mask, but she ain't wrestling. So, I don't know. Even if you bring back Becky Lynch and Charlotte Flair, as much as I like both of them, man, that could hurt even more, because you almost feel like by default, they'll be like, okay, you know, let's put the women's belt on Becky Lynch again, or let's go to Charlotte Flair, because they have proven that they could represent those titles strongly. As far as Man of the Year goes, not named Cody Rhodes. Man of the Year, not named Cody Rhodes. Boy, that is harder than you realize. Maybe Gunther. I would probably put Gunther in that territory. CM Punk has not wrestled enough. Drew McIntyre has way too many losses this year. And listen, that's the way they had to book it. Drew McIntyre, for wrestling fans, they wanted to see him lose. When he was feuding with Jey Uso, they wanted Yeet to overcome him. That's why on the house show circuit, Drew lost over and over and over again. It's a business. It's a job. Drew understands his role. On the house show circuit, make the fans go home happy. Yeet goes out on top. You don't have the wrestling fans that rate, oh, you deserve better, Drew. Drew, you're getting jobbed out. Go to AEW. You know, Drew McIntyre will be just fine. But unfortunately, the way he was booked in 2024, he's not Wrestler of the Year. I think it's Gunther by default. On the women's side, I think it's Liv Morgan. Liv Morgan, not the greatest wrestler out there, but she has generated enough heat that the fans do want to see her get her ass kicked. And outside of Liv Morgan, I know this sounds crazy. I think Nia Jax may be a far second, but I do not put Rhea Ripley anywhere near Women's Wrestler of the Year, and it's not just because of injury. NXT, I'll do NXT. I think NXT is a little easier to call. I think on the women's side, it's Roxanne Perez, even though many people think Kalani Jordan has done a spectacular job in 2024. On the men's side, it's Trick Williams. Trick Williams has done a great job. It's amazing because a year and a half ago, everybody thought Carmelo Hayes, the future superstar, and Trick Williams, we don't know. We don't know. I've said this now for a good year. Trick Williams, nothing against Carmelo Hayes, but Trick Williams is the guy that's going to be the major star coming out of that group. Carmelo Hayes will have a nice career, but Carmelo Hayes, there's just something, and I don't think it's just height. A lot of people think it's height. But Trick Williams, do I dare say that he's the next Roman Reigns? He's going to get the Roman Reigns push. That's a little too soon to call. A little too soon to call. We had a feeling about Roman Reigns back in the day. Trick Williams, I think it's still a little too soon to call. So thank you, Sal, for that. Thank you for that. Yeet Hater. Speaking of Yeet, did I see that WrestleVotes baited fans to believe that The Rock or Brock Lesnar would appear at Survivor Series? And Jay got injured, so hopefully we get no yeeting on Raw. He obviously is a Yeet Hater. I heard the injuries are not severe. I think Bronson Reed might be the one that people are concerned about the most. I think Jey Uso may have broke his toe. I think that's what happened. But Bronson Reed turned his ankle really, really bad. And luckily, and I know what some people say, oh my God, look how fat he is. All that weight going down on his ankle, it should have shattered. Well, he landed on his feet. So his feet already absorbed most of that weight. It's just that, you ever walk down a flight of stairs and you get like halfway down the flight of stairs and you actually like miss the step a little bit and your ankle goes like this, you roll your ankle? That's basically what Bronson Reed did. Still hurts, and he still got major swelling. But do I think Bronson Reed broke his ankle? I hope not. I don't think so. I saw the slow-mo. To me, it seemed like he rolled it. Jimmy broke his toe. So Yeet Hater, you're wrong, Yeet. You're ripping WrestleVotes for being wrong. Well, you, my friend, with all due respect, you're wrong as well. Jimmy broke his toe. Listen, WrestleVotes, you've heard me say it before. They're 50-50. Unfortunately, because of the huge following they have, they go the extra mile and they guess, or they post stuff out there that listen, we were putting out there about the day that New Day's celebration was going to be. We were putting out there, things about Netflix and things about AEW and all. And listen, it wasn't anything major. I'm not trying to say that we have bigger sources. We don't. But my point is that how come they couldn't get the little things like that? But, things like this, they put it out there because a lot of times, you can use, if you are really good as being a stat guy, you could kind of figure out, and you start doing the math and you figure out Saturday night's main event and you go throughout the year and you start subtracting weeks, around the pay-per-view time. You take away a week in a month because of a Saturday pay-per-view. You take away another week or two because of other programming, and you're usually left with one Saturday. And now you got to be like, well, you think they'll do it in March? Or you think they'll do it in April? Well, I think they'll do it in March because they obviously want to do it before WrestleMania. So if you sit there and you be a stat nerd and you start playing, you could probably figure shit out. Here's another one. NXT is on Christmas Eve, I think, or New Year's Eve. Did anybody in their right mind think that NXT was going to perform in Florida on New Year's Eve? They're going to wrestle and then celebrate New Year's Eve, right after. They're going to have champagne toast in the showers. I think most of us figured, no, in fact, you think about it, Christmas Eve. They might not do Christmas Eve either. They're going to be with their families. Gee, our sources in WWE tell us that NXT will not have any tapings on Christmas Eve or New Year's Eve. Somebody brain dead in a hospital can figure that out. So unfortunately, guys, there are people out there, anything for views. And unfortunately, that was one of them. They looked at last year. They saw the surprise of CM Punk and how insane. And they think now that everything's about YouTube views, social media views. Oh my God, why wouldn't WWE have a major surprise at Survivor Series? Think of the hundreds of millions of views that it'll get on social media. And then nothing happens. So, Rams fan says wrestlers do not need New Year's Eve off. Yeah, maybe in 1984, but in 2024, WWE is going to go the extra mile. Plus, you got to remember too, the road to Netflix is a pretty big deal. And even though NXT is not performing on Netflix, this affects the entire company. There's going to be so much prep for that first Raw on Netflix that final week of December, they got to kick back, take shit easy. They got to take things easy. So you're talking $1 billion deal. Billions could be. Everything is said and done. And financially, that sets WWE up. Even for mediocrity, it sets them up pretty damn good financially. All right. Bob the Builder, thank you for the 5-spot, Bob. Social media numbers for CM Punk and Roman Reigns are insane. It's around 100 million total. That's the biggest match for WWE outside of Roman Reigns versus The Rock. I agree. I'm not accusing WWE of fudging the numbers, but my friends, there are websites out there that if you put in a personality, they could tell you what percentage approximately of how many of their Twitter accounts are bots or fake, how many of them are not. It is a true fact that entertainers, media companies, they will inflate their numbers. If WWE going back to the 80s was talking about 93,000 people and they talk about 75,000 here and you don't think there's a chance that they could get, Gulubistad from India to fucking add a couple of million hits? Come on. Listen, do I believe that a majority of the number is real? Sure. But my friends, how many millions of wrestling fans watch wrestling every week? 5? Worldwide. 7? Why would you have 100 million views? If you have 7 million fans, how many casual wrestling fans that are into Roman Reigns that want to see CM Punk or Paul Heyman? 10 million? So that means that everybody on average watched it 10 times. It's after a while, it turns into ridiculous numbers. Listen, I went back to the days of, I don't know if it was Taboo Tuesday, but when they were letting wrestling fans vote on stipulations for matches, and they made press releases that they had 45 million votes. You never saw the numbers. You never saw in real time what the numbers were. And yeah, I mean, people could be reloading and reloading and reloading and reloading. So, it's insane. The number is insane. Don't get me wrong. But again, when you look at that, I mean, the return was great. I thought it was cool to see Paul Heyman back, and CM Punk revealed as the 5th guy was great. Looking back on it, it spawns more storylines, especially in the future. Paul, when I want that favor, I'm coming. So now what's the favor? What does it have to do with? Does it have to do with Roman Reigns? Does it do that he needs somebody to cover his back? We don't know. But all we know is that there's another storyline down the line. Randy Orton. We know Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes. That's another storyline down the line. Roman Reigns, maybe with someone else. Cody Rhodes, rematch. Roman Reigns and The Rock. The Rock and Cody Rhodes. There's a Seth Rollins down the line. There's a lot of little storylines coming out of this. That's why, if you tuned into my news report yesterday, what Paul Heyman said, Kevin and I are going to talk about it tomorrow night as well. Paul Heyman thinks that the Bloodline storyline is the greatest storyline of all time. And he gives his reasons why. It's not my favorite storyline of all time, but it might truly be the most successful storyline of all time. And it's not just because of what we've seen, it's where things could go. Like, you have a nucleus and shit just gets split up and divided. Look at Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. That shit's going to come back. Kevin Owens is not just pissed off at Cody Rhodes for teaming up with the people who tried to end his career. He's got to be pissed off now at CM Punk. He's got to be pissed off now at Sami Zayn. So Kevin Owens is coming for Sami Zayn. We don't know when. They're on different brands. Maybe around Netflix-y time. So, all right. This is a good one. And I touched on this yesterday a little bit too. Combo. What's up, Combo? Thank you, Combo, for the lucky 7. Do I think Jade got written off due to lack of faith she can handle in a WarGames match? She's only had 3 televised singles matches since her debut. This is what I said yesterday. And I'm going to elaborate a little more. Because yesterday it's more about reporting news. PW Insider is reporting that Jade's injury is storyline, which would be a funny way to close out 2024 because it was Dave Meltzer who was the one who originated that Jade was taken off of TV because of injuries. He figured, I got it wrong about Ivar, excuse me. Let me go the opposite way with Jade. Motherfucker. Bitch ain't hurt after all. Dave's had an awful year. But yet thousands of people are still paying $15 a month for his shit. He's got over 1,000 people paying him $15 a month to give him that crap. We can't even get 200. And ours is the third. My opinion on Jade Cargill is this. I'm not a huge Jade Cargill fan. I like her. I think she's a future megastar if she stays with it. To me, and this is not taking shots at AEW, but you got to understand, guys, if you are trained a certain way for a bunch of years, let's use Rocky. Was it Rocky 3 where Rocky Balboa had to fight with his right hand? Now, Rock, now. I think it was, no, wait. Was it Rocky 3 that he started fighting with his right hand and he had his arm tied behind his back? Or was it Rocky 2? It couldn't have been Rocky 2. I think it would have been too much controversy at that time because Adrian was in a coma. Yo, Adrian, I'd hug you, but I got to use my right hand. Was it Rocky 2, really? Shit. Rocky 2 is my favorite Rocky of all time. Here's the thing. When Rocky had to try to beat Apollo for the belt, they had him learn how to fight with his right hand. And, this story parted with his eye, can't see this and that, and, figuring he fights with his right hand, it'll catch Apollo off guard. Obviously, towards the end of the fight, he started fighting with his left hand and prevailed. My point is this. When you go your entire wrestling career, wrestling a certain mindset, and not, and you kind of fall into bad habits. Things are sloppy. Remember that infamous story where AEW wanted to use a chair bash somebody, and she didn't even know how to use a chair in the ring. She didn't even know, how to position it and which side to hold and this and that. CM Punk is the one that showed her. So Jade Cargill, over a bunch of years, developed some very, very bad habits that you could get away with in the indie circuit. You could get away with in AEW, but you can't get away with it in WWE. So she had to pretty much relearn everything. So I think it's a little unfair to really scrutinize her right now. Yes, I agree with everyone out there. Well, WWE shouldn't have put the belt on her and put her in this position. I get it. The problem is Bianca Belair this is what people need to realize. Bianca Belair is at the top. They want her to learn from the best, the BEST. And they want her to be up and down the road with Bianca. They want her to be in the ring with Bianca. They want to see how Bianca does stuff. They want to improve her timing. They want to take some of the workload off of her so Bianca could pick up the slack, especially if Jade gets one of those brain farts. Here's Bianca to pick up the slack. Well, how do you put Jade with the best? And who are they going to feud with? Katana Chance and Kaden Carter all the time? Bianca is at the top. So Bianca has championships. So because Jade is with her, Jade has championships also. Gives her also a little taste of what it feels like to be at the top. So, you know, if they would have paired her with somebody low on the food chain, yeah, the pressure would have been off. But at the same time, though, she'd be going up and down the road with someone who hasn't made it, you know, or is at that top level. So you're going to find faults no matter which way you look at it. My point is this. Even if they took her off TV for a storyline, and I say this with nothing but respect intended, so what? So what? If they wrote her off TV for an injury angle, yeah, I know she's a champion. Yeah, I know she was in a WarGames match, but that's the point. Whoever did this fucked up her opportunity at WarGames, fucked up her championship reign, because Bianca's going to have to give up those belts soon. So who screwed them over? Because they didn't just screw Jade Cargill over, they screwed Bianca Belair over. They also screwed that team over, even though they won. So it makes whatever happened even more powerful. So if they wrote her off TV for a storyline, and I say this sincerely, so what? So what? It's storyline driven. And the storyline may be tremendous. You know, I don't think it'll be Rikishi levels. I did it for The Rock. You know, I mean, when Rikishi was revealed, I was like, oh. The only thing good that came out of that was that Bad Man song. I'm a bad man, a bad, bad man. I'm a bad man. I fucking love that song. That bass, crank that song in a car with a good stereo system. Holy shit. You blow out your speakers with that song. So what? And I mean that. So what? Let it play out. And if it sucks, then we criticize it. Personally, I think Jade is doing fine. She's relearning everything. I think under the circumstances, I think she's done a decent job. Maybe WWE should not have put her this deep as far as being so recognizable by teaming with Bianca. But I ask you, who was she going to go up and down the road with instead? Who? Might have had to keep her in NXT. So, Combo, I don't think it's on that level. I don't think WWE had second, buyer's remorse with WarGames and like, oh, shit. Look at Nia Jax's performance. And as I hopefully proved earlier, some of it was not her fault. You know, when you have 10 people in WarGames, it's very easy, to help someone along the way. Look at Pat McAfee. I think people forget about that match that he had in the cage, Pat McAfee. He was one of many people in that match, so the focus wasn't just on him. He got his spots, did what he had to do, and did a great job with it. So, all right. Thank you, Combo, for that. Thank you, Mr. Combo. So we're going an hour. I think we're going to be going 90 minutes tonight. Don't want to overdo it. This week we covered a shitload, and this week coming we got a lot. And by the way, when you get a chance, go to our website, DTKCShow.com, wrestling-news.com, DonTony.com, whichever domain you want to use. Tell me what you think so far, because we've been revamping that website, and believe it or not, I am doing a lot more than you think. And that shit, the server is very costly. We just had to drop almost $1,600 for the server, the bandwidth, the designs for the whole year. And that was kind of rough, but we want in 2025 to be clicking on all cylinders. So, you don't have to check it now, but let me know what you think so far. I mean, right now there's only about 3 weeks worth of shows on there, but once it's at a place where I think it's ready to be full blown, all the archive shows will be added there as well. And then it should float around everywhere. $1,600 is not a lot, Benjamin. In 2024, for a year, for the hosting and the C panels and the bandwidth and all the other shit. Got to remember, guys, one of the things that's very hard, and yeah, we have a lot of shows that are offline, for various reasons, but that's what happens when you have 20 some odd years of content. Shit's got to be stored somewhere. All of our shows are still stored online. So one day down the line, we will release all of the old shows, politically incorrect or not. They're all going to be coming up, but they're still being hosted. They're just not visible, not all of them, because obviously for, ratings reasons. That's what happens when you have a crazy catalog like that. Shit's got to be stored somewhere. So that's why for a while I was going to get my own server and just host the site through my house. But I'm a little afraid of doing that too. I think that's a little bit too much hands-on. Tristan is asking, do I remember the Big Show Thanksgiving segment on SmackDown where everybody started food fighting? Yeah. Yeah. Good old food fight can't hurt. Unless it's Tony Storm. I just, looking back on it, man, you get that upset with a pie in the face. I mean, sure, that's not what you really thought you were going to get when you were going to become a WWE superstar. But, sometimes with the holidays, I mean, look at even Halloween. And you see, stupid spots with pumpkins on the head and stuff like that. At least with a giant pumpkin on your head, there could be a whole bunch of gooey shit dripping in your face too, which makes you a little bit blind. So when Chelsea Green had the pumpkin on her head, it was funny, stupid funny. When you see Rey Mysterio on Raw and his mask gets turned around, I don't think I have any. All right. Do I have anything that I can use as a prop? Do I have a bag? Do I have a clean bag? I don't think I have any bags. I don't want to use old baseball jerseys, but let's just pretend this is the front of Ray's mask. Let's just pretend these are the eyes. Now, in storyline, Chad Gable turned the mask sideways. I'm going to take my hat off for a second. I know I got a haircut. All right. When he turned the mask sideways, why didn't Ray just go like this? Instead, I got to take my glasses off. Almost broke them. Think about this. All right. Think about this. These are Ray's eyes. Okay. This is Ray's eyes. Instead, when Chad Gable did this, turned it sideways, instead of Ray just going like this, Ray did this. That was awful. And that's Rey Mysterio. That was awful. All right. Roddy Howard, Roderick, My grandmother's still alive today. Do I think her feelings about Hogan would have been altered in any way, given all his issues over the years? Sure. Absolutely. Back in 1991, Hulk Hogan was still the larger-than-life superhero. My grandmother adored him. I think my grandmother would have been very, very upset about, the John Graziano comments. I think she would have been upset, hearing about, what he said about the record producer with Brooke Hogan. I think she would have been devastated to see that video with him and Heather Clem, and she'd be like, oh my God, my hero has a 4-inch penis. I just think I think she would have, but the thing that's interesting is, like, she would have hated the NWO. Like, when Hulk Hogan betrayed WCW and the wrestling fans, I don't think my grandmother would have wanted an NWO blouse for Christmas. I think she would have threw garbage at her TV. Just like the fans pelting garbage in the ring, I think she would have threw garbage at the TV. She would have been very upset. Which was interesting because Hogan was a heel in 1979. And that's when my grandmother got me watching wrestling. Now, Hogan was around the WWF in 1980 because he was part of the Shea Stadium bout. He faced Andre in 80. I never asked my grandmother what she thought about Hogan in 79 and 80. My guess is because Hulkamania was not a thing yet, she probably just looked at him as just an everyday heel. But when he took over WWF and beat the Iron Sheik and became a superhero, that's, I think, when my grandmother fell in love with him. So Maggie says, what do I think of everyone using weapons all the time, especially in the WarGames matches? She's saying not really to not use them, just don't overuse them. I think that's a fault of fans also. Not getting on the rip everything Alvarez Meltzer train. But when I woke up this morning, I was thinking of the Soprano song. Woke up this morning. Wasn't that song? Anyway, when I woke up this morning and turned on my YouTube on my TV and seen recommended videos, an Observer video came up, which I don't click on. But the title was WarGames Needed Blood. And I was like, yeah, that's the AEW fan saying that. No, not everything needed blood. But when you think of WarGames, especially when you think of OG Bloodline versus Solo Sikoa Bloodline, you ain't gonna do drop kicks or just straight up punches and kicks. You want to destroy your opponents. So that was a match that's been building for a long time. You wanted to end people's careers in that match. So no, I didn't have any issue with it at all yesterday. I had no issue with it not having blood. I think it's freaking hilarious that, I still remember when The Rock beat up Cody. Mama Rhodes. And he had Cody's blood. Props to all those YouTubers, especially that put those thumbnails that night and left them there. Oh, Attitude is back. Attitude is here. We finally got Attitude. Fuck Vince. Attitude is back. And I'm like, you goofs. You moronic clickbaiters. We're just going into WrestleMania. Once WrestleMania comes and goes, we're back to the same WWE as before. I brought it up the other day. I think I brought it up on Patreon the other day. Go watch whatever's on 10 minutes before Raw goes on. Tomorrow night, whatever's on 10 minutes before, just watch it. You'll hear unedited, asshole, bullshit, asshole, bullshit. The only word that's bleeped is the F word. You're saying to yourself, wait a minute. How come at 7:50 p.m. These people could say bullshit, asshole, scumbag, but yet fans do a chant and it's censored on TV. That's because of the advertisers. That is because of the advertisers. Cody Rhodes bleeding for The Rock was something that was treading the line with advertisers. It wasn't a regular thing, and that's why it was allowed. But that's the difference when they go to Netflix. Netflix, you will have a whole different crop of advertisers. And if you do have companies out there that love advertising on WWE programming, they're going to have to make a decision. What do we do about Netflix? My friends, WWE SmackDown is staying on the USA Network. SmackDown ain't changing. Netflix, you might hear fans chanting and they don't censor it. Pat McAfee, when he returns, he's going to curse here and there. You can hear some wrestlers say a few expletives, usually after 10 o'clock. You know, if it's 3 hours, that's for another day. SmackDown chants is still going to be censored, still going to be rated TV, PG, the big V word. Nothing's going to change. It's the advertisers. The advertisers. But no, as far as weapons, it was the right place to do it. But I don't think you use weapons every week. That's one of the problems AEW has now. You've put so much of that out there that people are kind of bored with it now and kind of numb with it. The most hilarious thing, guys. I don't want to make a big deal about it, but I'll let you just let this sink in a little bit. We'll save it for another day. But let this sink in for a little bit. For all of those people that have huge followings, that are so vocal about shitty storylines in AEW, now they are gushing and orgasming over the Continental Classic. The Continental Classic is a tournament designed to have the fantasy matches without spending the time booking feuds and storylines to lead to those matches. Oh my God, I'd love to see Shelton Benjamin and Ricochet go at it. But we can't do this whole storyline where he turns down the Hurt Business and they build it for a month, so we'll just do Continental Classic. Now they added that dumb stipulation, the wild card, as I call it. The runner-up from the Blue League will face the leader of the Gold League. And the runner-up of the Gold League is going to face the leader of the Blue League. Those two matches will be at World's End. And then the winner of those two matches will fight at World's End. So you could end up having two members from the Gold League, two members from the Blue League, facing each other in the finals. Just replace Blue with American League and Gold with National League, and then you'll understand why that is just dumb. Just absolutely stupid what they did. I understand why. I explained it yesterday. But just so dumb. Why would you do that? It's just... but all those people that are so yelling outlandish things about AEW and their shitty storylines, but then gushing over the Continental Classic. Because half the shows now are Continental Classic matches that have no storylines. The only storyline is 3 points. 3 points. Who will have 6? Benjamin says, how much did it suck for CM Punk and Jey Uso to have to eat those vile macaroons? It was funny when CM Punk brought the box out and opened it up. He's like, look at this shit. Trust me, they ate just fine when the cameras weren't rolling. Listen, I like the lighthearted fun. You know, this media scrums should not be the place for gotchas. Media scrums should just be, you know, about the events, pay-per-views. If there's a very important topic and it needs to be brought up, you don't ignore it, obviously. But it's supposed to, you know, you just went through 4 hours of a lot of, you know, emotion and, you know, you want to just have like a fun scrum, you know, post. I mean, go back and watch the ones from the 80s and the 90s and look how hokey those things were. Imagine the days of the WWF when they still had, like a lot of the kayfabe, especially on TV. And then they do those media conferences and the WrestleMania presses. And, even when they were doing, Shawn Michaels versus Steve Austin with Mike Tyson, a special guest referee. Imagine if they did a press conference and had the internet wrestling journalists today at those scrums. Mike, Steve, Mr. Austin, I would love your reaction. How do you feel that someone who's been convicted of rhymes with grape, refereeing this match? What do you say? Oh my God. I could just imagine back then. Holy shit. Kevin says in the WWF, Kurt Angle was the advisor for Ric Flair. With Bobby Heenan, Flair was called the real world's champion with the NWA belt. Flair was owed 25 G's. Listen, that was awesome when it happened. When he showed up on that, wasn't Tuesday Night Titans. I don't remember what it was, but I remember when Bobby Heenan showed up with the belt. Ric Flair wasn't there yet. And he shows the real world championship. I was like, holy shit. Holy shit. I thought that was Forbidden Door. And when Flair debuted, it was great, man. It was great. And he got right into it with Piper, which made it even better. Primetime wrestling. Yes, primetime wrestling. Loved Bobby Heenan in primetime wrestling. All those fat girls, fat women also. Kevin Milwaukee, for the 10-year anniversary for New Day, what if they surprisingly don't break up? What would creatively, reasonably be one of the biggest shocking announcements that could happen in that segment? They have to break up. They have to break up. This is storyline. It's entertainment. It's storyline. It's not, how many hug emojis and cake and ice cream feelings can we give fans out there? I mean, that's with a lot of other companies out there. It's about, that hug emojis. Everything's going to be epic, amazing, unbelievable. Holy shit, this is the greatest thing ever. It's amazing, epic, epic, epic. This is the most awesomest thing. 9 stars, amazing, epic, unbelievable. Holy shit. If I died tomorrow, I'd die a happy person. No, wrestling is, I've said this how many times over the years, my friends. I should make it on a shirt. Wrestling is supposed to break your heart. Wrestling is supposed to break your heart. On Monday night, hearts will be broken. Camera will be panned on fans, probably mostly women. There will be tears. There will be people, looking around, acting like this, and then they think the camera's on and they'll be like they'll just be hanging out or whatever. I saw all those reactions. Listen, I'm not saying that people shouldn't be excited. I watched a YouTube video the other day. I don't remember what it was, but it was related to WWE. And they were showing all these podcaster reactions to CM Punk's return to WWE last year. And people were acting like they won the lottery. People were acting like it just felt so fake. Some of the reaction was legit, but some of these over the top. That's why, my friends, you'll never see me do those thumbnails. I mean, once in a while, I'll be like, but I'll mean it. It'll be like, the fuck is this? But you see like these people like, oh, oh my God. On Monday night after Raw, you're going to see all over YouTube, even on Twitter, the shocking betrayal of Xavier Woods. You're going to see Xavier Woods probably smash something over the head of Big E. Hopefully it'll be that round fucking donut. Smash him into the ring post. Let everybody think that he hurt his neck again, even though we don't want it to. And then because they got to be part of it. Half the thumbnail will be these ugly people going like this. I see that and I cringe, man. I want to have that look if I see some pervert sticking his pee-pee up my dog's ass. Then I'd be like, not because Xavier Woods. I would have been like, what's that finally look on your face? Finally. Those over-the-top reactions, especially, and I say this with love, my God, whoever the guy's name is, Steve or whatever it is from the WSI, get some new emoji faces, reaction pages from Dutch Mantel. I see Dutch Mantel reacts to Ricky Starks being pulled from GCW, and it's that same face every time. Get some new ones. And glad you're feeling better, Dutch. I mean that. Dutch Mantel is good. I like his stuff. James works his ass off too. He really works his ass off. I like James. Even the Bischoff stuff. Even the Bischoff. Now they're showing like pictures of Bischoff from like 1995. Jeff is asking, will Buff Bagwell ever be in the Hall of Fame? Only if it's a building and it's open to the general public. It's the only time he'll ever be in the Hall of Fame. Will he ever be inducted? I don't see it. Buff Bagwell would have to donate like all his body parts to like wrestlers who are in need of like body parts. He like Lex Luger at some point early on when Elizabeth passed. Lex Luger was one of the most hated people in wrestling. And Kevin and I were covering wrestling at that time together, and we were like, that motherfucker ain't going to ever be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Now we're wondering what's taking so long. Buff Bagwell, I have nothing against him, but why would he go in the WWE Hall of Fame? Unless they have the gobbledygooker. Wait, gooker is a derogatory word for somebody. Gobbledygooker wing. Put him in there. I mean, I don't have much against Buff Bagwell, but no, he's not a Hall of Famer. It's not a Hall of Famer. Let's see. Curated thoughts on Joe Tessitore. Loves his commentary. Old school feel. Lance Russell type guy. Listen, the first time he was on Raw, I said he reminded me of Mauro Ranallo. Just without the Mamma Mia. I am a fan of Joe Tessitore. I'm such a fan that I'll even pronounce his name the way they want to. Because in Italian, like if he was in my neighborhood right now, everybody be like, hey, Joe Tessitore, come here, have an espresso. Joe Tessitore, hey, yo, Joe. Ifa, come here, you son of... Oh, I got to tell you a funny story. I got a good one. This is a funny story. This just happened. It is a legit story. I don't think I would get in trouble for telling this story, but this is one you'll appreciate. This is a good one. You could Google it. I won't say the guy's name, but you'll figure out who it is because I will tell you the town I live in and just Google it. There is a guy, college guy, who lives in my neighborhood, Howard Beach, who just got signed with a Major League Baseball team. One of the biggest prospects in baseball, and he just signed with a National League team, got a $900,000 signing bonus just to sign. He's a prospect. He's only in his early 20s. He lives about 3 blocks from here. So his father came into my office on Tuesday this past week, Tuesday. And first thing I said to him was like, congratulations, man. I was like, that's awesome. I read in the newspaper. It just happened. Signed $900,000 signing bonus. Just look up Howard Beach signing bonus baseball. You'll figure out who it is. National League team. So he's like, yeah, I'm so happy for him. He's like, listen, I got to ask you a question. So he's asking me about insurance, and we're talking about defensive driver stuff and a whole bunch of other stuff. So he sees I'm drinking an espresso, because in my office, I have 2 Nespresso machines. I have one that does the Verturos, if anybody knows what that is. And I have another one that not only makes regular coffee, but also makes the original Nespressos. So I have a whole coffee thing in my office, because I still have a lot of Italian customers, older customers. So sometimes they'll come in, they'll grab an espresso, whatever. So he sees that I'm having an espresso. Like, where'd you get the espresso? I said, I can make it. He's like, you want an espresso? He's like, yeah. He's like, give me a double. So I make the double espresso for him. I put it on my desk. And we're talking about his son, and we're talking about insurance stuff and everything. So he needs to send me over some information. So his wife sends the information over to his phone. And he says, how do you want me to send the information? I said, can I use your phone for a minute? I'll just forward it to my text message. He says, yeah, no problem. I go over and grab the phone, knocked the double espresso all over him. This guy had to be a $500, $1,000 sweatsuit. Like one of those really expensive, like something like Dwayne Johnson would wear. I dropped the double espresso all over him. And I was like, holy shit, I'm so sorry and everything. And I felt awful. And, I made him another one, but he had coffee all over him. And, he left, but he's like, he's Italian guy. And he's, I don't want to say a big deal in my neighborhood, but, he's known. But I was going to make a joke like, don't worry about it. Your son will buy you another. But I was like, if I do that, I'll get punched in the mouth. So this guy that just signed a $1 million deal in Major League Baseball, I dropped double espresso all over his father. Kid you not. No joke. It really happened on Tuesday. All right. Kevin is asking, Conan is in the hospital for diverticulitis. He was. Kevin and I talked about it on Monday. He is back, feeling a lot better. Diverticulitis is no joke, man. I suffered from it also. I had the surgery about 2 months before we had that get-together at Lucky 13 in Brooklyn, where a lot of you I met when we were there with Soup. I had diverticulitis surgery 2 months before. It was not fun, man. I had pains, and I had pains that night also. If you ever watch that video, it is still on YouTube. You'll see during the night, you'll see me holding my stomach like this. It hurt. It felt like somebody was like little jabs in the stomach. But Conan had it on a different level because he couldn't go to the bathroom for a couple of days. So he had all that toxic waste in his body to the point where he started getting shakes, and, he had like brain issues. Like they had to teach him how to walk again. He was really, really bad shape, man. I don't want to talk for him. He did a video about it, but let me tell you something, that shit is scary. And he was in the hospital for almost a month. Glad he's doing better, man. Glad he's doing better. The guy dropped the espresso. I just hope he doesn't send me a bill for a new outfit. Because honestly, because he said to me, he goes, does this come out? I said, yeah, I drop coffee on me all the time. I said, it goes out in the wash. But meanwhile, he had this like really nice teal sweatsuit that looked expensive. And I felt so bad, man. It was not intentional, man. Jeff is asking me, what was the exact moment I realized that the 2006 ECW wasn't the original ECW? We knew it before the debut. I did not know that Timmy was going to be the first person on TV, which is still surreal when I think about it. You got to understand that there were people that we were friendly with at the time. We were good friends with Balls Mahoney. We were good friends with Axel Rotten. I was friends with Steven DeAngelis, who originally Steven DeAngelis was going to be the regular announcer for ECW. And then they went with Justin, what's Justin's last name again? Justin Roberts instead. You heard little drips and drabs. Plus, it was going to be on Sci-Fi. And a lot of people were worried, like, why is this on Sci-Fi? And, but let me tell you something, guys. I know I've told this story so many times over the years. You don't know what it feels like that your friend, who's an indie wrestler also, but he's doing the wrestling hotline with me, Matt Zombie, and Brian Damage. If you ever look at those old Blackheart shirts, Timmy is right there. Zombie, Damage, Arson, Funker. Me, Timmy Arson, Matt Zombie, Brian Damage. Timmy calls us up about half an hour, 45 minutes before the first ECW aired on Sci-Fi. He said, guys, do not miss the show tonight. Like, why? We thought he was going to be a security guard. We thought he was going to be on TV, security guard, and extra for something. He's like, guys, you don't want to miss it tonight. Make sure to watch. And I know I've said this to death, but he is the answer to a Trivial Pursuit question. Who is the first person to ever debut on WWE's version of ECW? And that's my former friend who's deceased. It's the only reason why he's a former friend, and my former Hotline co-host. You don't know what it felt like. Because the next day he's on my hotline and he's talking about it. And it was just amazing. Like, holy shit. We felt like Goodfellas. Remember when Joe Pesci was made in Goodfellas? The only difference was Timmy didn't get his head blown off in a basement. Like it was like we picked up the phone. Remember when Robert De Niro picked up the phone? Hey, everything go good? Nah, we had a problem. With Timmy, it was like, how'd everything go? You didn't hear, nah, we had a problem. We were just like, you were a zombie. That's the first time you ever did the zombie character. Then obviously the rest is history. I miss that man. That man is a good guy. You know what still pisses me off to this day, just to show you how petty some things are in wrestling. Not only was Timmy my friend, but I also wrote his car insurance. I wrote his house insurance. I handled his car accident claim when he had a car accident. Timmy was not one of the greatest drivers out there. And so I knew everything personal about Timmy. When he died, Mike Johnson from PW Insider, and it's still up there. Mike Johnson from PW Insider writes Timmy, and he writes the wrong last name. And he reports that Timmy died. So I sent Mike an email and I said, Mike, I said, listen, I said, I know we're not friendly and, I know you hate my guts. I said, but for Timmy's sake, I said, you got the wrong last name. I said, Timmy's last name. I gave him the last name. I said, I write his insurance. I got a copy of his driver's license in front of me. I said, you have the wrong information there. I said, especially because they're going to have a funeral. And in fact, I found the picture the other day of the Blackhearts flower arrangement we sent him for his funeral. And I told Mike, I'm like, here's his information. Just don't give it out. He never fixed it. He hated me so much that he refused to I didn't even want credit for it. I just told him listen, Mike, I don't know where you got that last name from. That's not his last name. He never fixed it. To this day, just look up the date that Timmy died, and then look up on PW Insider this day in wrestling history, and just match up the day, and you'll see it's never fixed it. That's why even though I've lightened up on Mike and a few others, I'm like, you're going to be that petty. Mike Johnson is very well liked, but Mike Johnson back in the day especially was a big pussy. A big pussy. Here, you want another one? I'll give you another one about Mike Johnson. He did commentary on a Frank Goodman USA Pro Wrestling show once in Long Island. I was there. It was in Deer Park. I was actually part of the show. Mike Johnson did commentary for it. And, I don't know how much he got paid, $200-$300, whatever it was. He got paid for it. And he did a good job. He did a great job. So about maybe 15 years ago, Frank Goodman was selling some of the wrestling content to a guy that was doing these pay-per-views. Some of you may remember this. About 15 years ago, there was a guy doing wrestling pay-per-views for like $9.99. And it was just random indie matches and indie wrestling events. And Frank was selling him footage, making good money off of it. So Frank gave him a couple of matches from the event from Deer Park, Long Island that Mike Johnson did commentary on. And Mike Johnson told Frank that if he doesn't pull those matches, that he was going to sue. He didn't want his likeness, his voice on these pay-per-views. And Frank Goodman's like, the fuck is this guy talking about? It's an indie show. He didn't sign no papers or anything like that. It's an indie wrestling event. But he was such a bitch that he told Frank Goodman, I will get attorneys if you don't take. And Frank's just like, just take the shit off. I mean, trust me, if I go back to the MLW stuff, the shit from Florida, you'll understand why for many, many years I despised Court Bauer. I thought, honestly, if 10, 20, 30 years from now, somebody tells me that Mike Johnson and Court Bauer had a sexual relationship, I'd believe it. I would really believe it. Some of the things that were done back then, it's just amazing. You think of politics now, you missed a lot 20 years ago, 18 years ago. There's some really, really fucked up shit going down back then. Oh, this is worse. But I listen, anybody that likes Mike now, I want to make this clear. This is not the Mike Johnson of 2024. I don't have any ill will against Mike anymore. I don't have any ill will against Court Bauer anymore. Mike, over the years, has, changed a little bit. I hear nothing but good things about him. I don't want anybody to judge him from 20 years ago. But back then, what a snake in the grass. A snake in the grass, hiding behind sympathy that he got hurt in a car accident. That's what I kind of remember. I think he was like seriously injured in a car accident. He had some permanent injuries, and people were like, "Oh, why don't you lay off on him? He's going through a lot from his car accident." I'm like, gee, let me get into a car accident. I could be a scumbag to everybody out there. That's why I never let Joey 924 get away with his shit. He started hiding behind the wheelchair, while he's saying some horrible stuff about me. I'm like, nah, man. If you're going to say nasty shit about people, I don't care if you have two legs or no legs. You're going to open up your mouth. You better be able to defend yourself. I wasn't going to roll him over a cliff or anything like that. But, as soon as I started fighting him back, he's like, I can't believe you're talking to somebody who's in a wheelchair like that. Be lucky I don't slash your tires, asshole. Tape traders. Those were funny. That was cutthroat back then. One day I got to talk to Bully Ray about the Bueller tape, Matt Zombie. I got to find out the truth. I got to find out if they really threatened to kick Matt Zombie's ass in the bathroom. See, I got to find out one day. Twix is asking, where is Joey 924? I have no idea. I haven't talked to him in ages. If he reconnected and wanted to do like a nostalgia show, I would absolutely welcome him with open arms. That guy was a good wrestling fan, funny guy, and very smart. Very smart. I really can't say anything bad about him anymore. But I don't know whatever happened to him. So, all right, we're going to start bringing this home. So we got a big show tomorrow night. We have some interesting discussions to get into, but obviously, probably the biggest thing will be the 10-year anniversary of the New Day, to see how they pull this off and how far can they go with Big E. Listen, we still don't know if Big E will ever be able to wrestle ever again. But tomorrow night will give us an idea how fragile Big E actually is. And the reason why I say that is because this is not, and Kevin and I talked about it last week, and everybody agreed, this is not like Jimmy and Jay breaking up, leading to a match at Mania. Yeah, I think Kofi versus Xavier Woods will likely be a WrestleMania 41 match, but this feels nothing like the Usos breaking up. This is going to be violent. This is going to be over the top. This is going to be hopefully wild. And if you're going to have Xavier Woods snap, he's got to put his hands on Big E. And I want to see how far they do it. They can do. And let me tell you something. If Big E sells, listen, the one problem about wrestling today is it's very hard to keep a storyline going. And let me explain it like this. It's like Drew McIntyre and CM Punk. You didn't have family members of either person on social media talking about it. The only person that you had on social media that was talking about anything was the girl who made that bracelet for CM Punk. And even CM Punk told her, look, bracelet might get broken in this, but don't worry, you make another one. My point is this. If Xavier Woods puts his hands on Big E tomorrow night, and they do a storyline where Big E goes out on a stretcher, the IWC will not stop until somebody in WWE tells them Big E is okay. And that's one thing that I do not like about wrestling today. It's almost like, because it's going to happen. You're going to get little kids crying. You're going to get some warped parents. Mark my words, guys. If Big E gets hit tomorrow, gets hurt, storyline, you're going to have sick parents who are going to show videos on social media. They're going to film their kids watching this, and the little kid's going to be like, Big E, and they're going to put it on the fucking net. For my kid's sake, please tell me if Big E's right. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. You watch a TV show, you watch a movie, and somebody dies in a movie or in a critical condition. You're supposed to go on social media. Don't worry, everything's okay. Can you imagine if Rocky 2 came out these days and it was a TV series and you had to go a full week or two before Adrian goes out of the coma? Hey, yo, I want to let everybody know that don't worry, Adrian will be just fine. Just let it play out on TV, all right? Like, oh my God, you're going to see people doing that. And nothing against the kids, but seriously, I want to just take this salami and just... That's what I hate about wrestling these days. They do something great on TV. They're going to have to give an update on Big E just so people online don't fucking have breakdowns. I hope Xavier Woods puts his hands on Big E because that'll give Xavier nuclear heat. Nuclear heat. I don't want Big E to get hurt. These guys are going to be hugging and crying and celebrating afterwards. On TV, though, off TV, they'll be crying because on TV, they're no longer a group. But off camera, they did some of the greatest performances out there. All right. Let's finish this up in 5 minutes. So I want to get this up early so I could start prepping for tomorrow. So we got a big show tomorrow night. I hope you could join us live after Raw. 10:15 p.m. on our Discord channel, dtkcdiscord.com. I mentioned this at the very end of yesterday's news update. I'm going to say it here again now because I know not everybody tunes into those news updates, even though you should. Just a reminder, the reason why we did not do is two reasons. The reason why we did not do Survivor Series predictions contest for Patreon and YouTube is because we do one every month, and we did one in November already for Crown Jewel. We didn't do it for Survivor Series because, number one, we did one for the month already, and number two, it was Thanksgiving weekend, and a lot of people were going to be away. Plus, it lands on the first of the month this weekend, and not everybody renews their Patreon the same day. So some people would have been locked out of the predictions contest, especially when you're talking about time differences. So it was either we do Crown Jewel and no Survivor Series, or we don't do Crown Jewel and we do Survivor Series instead. And just to make it easier on everyone, we did Crown Jewel. The next one we do, obviously. AG is asking, what do I think of the Volt channel WWE's doing? I think it's great. All these people overseas, like, suddenly upset that the WWE network is closing down. My friends, we haven't had the WWE network in the United States for a couple of years now. And, oh my God, it's just going to be select footage. Most of the stuff they're not putting up there is stuff you wouldn't have watched anyway. People are complaining and no, shut up. The Volt stuff is great. They're putting stuff out there. You know what's funny? This is something I noticed about Vince, which I don't know why. You know, we're not in the Blu-ray era anymore. We're not in the DVD era anymore. We're not in the VHS era. So putting out unseen content, they've missed the opportunity. Like back in the day, they would do, you know, a special DVD when Raw goes off the air, all the bonus footage. That was great. I owned it. It's great. But what I notice is that Vince McMahon hoarded thousands of hours of footage that we have never seen. He was going to take it to the grave. And it wasn't even controversial stuff. You know, of course, Vince declared that wrestling is sports entertainment. My God, even in the 80s, he was calling it sports entertainment. But it's interesting how much behind the scenes that he protected that he didn't want us to see. And little by little, it's going to start coming out more and more under Triple H's reign, especially if that shit shows up on Netflix. Even more of a reason. People would be fine just see people hanging out in the back. You know, you don't want to get personal. I mean, not every little thing should be aired on television, but WWE Vault is fun. And now they're starting to put footage out there that we haven't seen before. And that is cool. That is cool. All right. No, I get WWE Vault's a YouTube thing. What I'm saying is there's thousands of hours of footage that was recorded behind the scenes that Vince never made public. And if you're going to push extra content, you do that shit on Netflix. Because I don't even know what you would call a section like that. But, you know, it seems like there was a camera recording every minute of the day, except for the showers and some of the locker rooms. But it's pretty wild to think. In fact, listen, not saying this, try to make ourselves look better. But that ex-Kev, if I'm lying, that's one thing that Kev and I have been told over the years by various people who worked in the WWE. And they would say, you would not believe, like everywhere you turn, somebody's there with a camera, like recording footage. Now, you have your downtime, you have your private time. They don't invade that. But if you're working out in the ring, if you're doing this, you're doing that, discussing something, going over something, people bumping into people. There's always a camera person around. Always someone there somewhere. And there's so much footage of that. There's people, working out matches. There's dark matches that have never been made public. There's so much stuff that they could put out there. And some of it will be boring. You kind of almost feel perverted, like you feel like you're just eavesdropping on some personal stuff. It's sad to see some people who are no longer with us, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do with some of that content. I don't know about the ECW stuff being on Netflix. When they had to change the music, it took away so much of what was ECW. Those November Rain videos themselves. I mean, I saw the AEW one and there was no music video to it. It was just highlights of wrestling with the song playing in the background. If they would have spent a little bit extra time, and even if they had to pay a little more money, if they truly went ECW style and had portions of the Guns N' Roses music video on the screen as well, it would have worked even better. This just felt like a highlight package, playing to that music. But it was good. I mean, I'm not complaining, but you can't even appreciate the November to Remember videos from ECW on the WWE network. They can't air it because of the dubbing and the music. Takes away all of the aura about it, especially towards the end of that song when it starts really getting intense. That's when ECW would put the most intense storylines towards the end of it, and it really felt powerful. Can't do that now. Can't do that. WCW is butchered also, but WCW wasn't about music videos and, enhancing. I mean, entrances were great and everything, but, WCW is no more for the matches. So, all right, let's take 3 more questions and we'll get a jet. I was looking at my old hard drive the other day and I did pull the anthology stuff. It's crazy to think how many wrestling themes we had back in the day. Holy shit. It's amazing. And we got away with it. WWE allowed us to play it. That's why I tell people all the time, go on Wayback Machine and check out the website. Go back 20 years. And you look at this theme music player and you're like, how's WWE not shutting this down? Because as long as we kept a certain quality, it couldn't be very good quality, but as long as we kept no higher than whatever it was, 32 kbps, then we were good. And they let us play it. We made no money off of it, but that was cool shit back in the day. Having a wrestling theme music radio station playing 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for about 2 or 3 years. And that was fun, man. That was fun. I still got all the songs. My favorite of all time is Steve Corino's song, Old School Style. That will probably be, and Mikey Whipwreck and Tajiri's ECW song, where Sinister Minister opens up laughing. When I stole that song and put it in my bag, I swear to God, when I left the building and the first thing I did in my car is I put it in my CD player, and I literally was Jim Mitchell that now. I stole it. Trust me, when Steve Corino's song showed up on that player, I don't think Steve Corino ever emailed me, but a few people emailed me and like, the fuck did you get that song? And I just ignored them. I stole it from this guy, Anthony, who used to be the DJ for all the USA Pro Wrestling events. I'm getting a text message. Who is texting? Ely's Italian Coffee. Buy 9 cans of espresso and get a free coffee machine. I kid you not. Kid you not. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see that? My phone number is not on the screen, right? No. Look, buy 9 cans of coffee and you get a free coffee machine. What the fuck am I going to do with 9 cans of coffee? I'll be doing the show. I'll be like, 9 cans of coffee. It's like saying, buy 50 steaks and we'll give you a frying pan to cook it in. Roddy wants to know, what do I think the favor of CM Punk is? I don't know, man. I don't know. I think maybe down the line, CM Punk may need backup and he's going to call a favor into Paul Heyman. Maybe it has to do with Brock Lesnar. Maybe it has to do with something involving a championship down the line. Maybe it's something with CM Punk and Roman Reigns. And CM Punk is going to call in a favor and Paul Heyman's going to have to make a decision that he doesn't want to do. I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of. But it's a great thing for them to do. Do I think they know what the favor it is? Yeah. I think they already know what that favor will be down the line. But I love the idea that it's in the bag. You know, doing you a favor. You know, you owe me that favor. Very good. Makes you realize how stupid Drew McIntyre was last year. Should have told Rhea Ripley, you know, you owe me a favor. And I don't mean sexual favor. You owe me a favor. Should have demanded a favor from the Judgment Day or something. Could have, well, Damian Priest lost the belt. Could have demanded a title shot against Damian Priest right then and there back in the day. Jim Mitchell is good people. Jim Mitchell is very good people. I like Jim Mitchell. Good person in wrestling. Kevin Milwaukee says CM Punk's favorite will let Vince come back to WWE. No, I don't see that happening. So, Rams fan says when you call the Don for a favor on the day of the Don's daughter's wedding, yeah, that'd be pretty rough, man. Listen, I think whatever the favor, you know what? Maybe somebody wins the Money in the Bank briefcase later on, and CM Punk's like, Paul, remember that favor? Give me the briefcase. I'm not saying that that's going to be it. But watch, that's it. Oh, you know what it could be? Maybe CM Punk is eliminated from a match or somebody has a competition. CM Punk wants someone's spot, maybe in the Royal Rumble or Elimination Chamber or something like that. I think that would be a little too far-fetched because who is Paul Heyman going to screw? He could only screw Roman Reigns. I don't know. Maybe it's the number 30 spot. Listen, we have plenty of time to speculate. Royal Rumble's not for 2 months. Now we got to see if CM Punk goes at it with Gunther. Tomorrow, CM Punk opens Raw. So we'll see if CM Punk has some interaction with Gunther. Might be a little too early, but, you know, if he does face Gunther at the Royal Rumble, that means he's not in the Rumble match. I don't know if I see CM Punk doing double duty that night. If you really want CM Punk involved in the bigger matches, there's always the Chamber, but I still think CM Punk is going to face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania. So, all right, I am going to jet. We're right at the 2-hour mark. I want to thank each and every one of you for joining me tonight. I want to give a special shout out to our great moderators, Guardian of Chaos, OTS Tribal Queen, and Austin Nance, all of our channel members here on YouTube. I know there's not many of you, but, you know, I really appreciate all your support. Everybody on Patreon, too. I mean, you guys, both sides, help us keep growing and keep paying the bills. And even if you're not a channel member or part of our Patreon family, download the shows. That helps us stay relevant in the stats. The higher we are in the rankings, the more visible we are. And, you know, just keep spreading the word. Let everybody know that we're back. Now, I do want to let everybody know who is a channel member and patron. See behind me? I know part of the heads are cut off in some of those pictures, but right the new year, I might even do it New Year's Eve, but I want to change the backdrop. Right now we have Terry Funk, Brian Pillman, Eddie Guerrero, Heart Foundation, Taz, and a few others. We're going to start opening up I'll put a thread on Patreon and a thread on the channel members. I want you to give me suggestions of who you want in the backdrop. I'm going to redo everything, and when I redo it, they will be lower, so you could see the full, pictures of everybody. I think it's time that we do a little upgrade in the background. I don't know if I'll leave the ECW banner there. I mean, there'll always be a tribute to ECW behind me, but I don't know, it's prime space. So we'll be getting suggestions from you soon. So, and I don't want to use green screen. Believe it or not, here's a little tidbit for everybody. I have a green screen behind me. It's been sitting here since before I did one video on YouTube. No joke. All my bobbleheads are sitting on it. I've got the Elgato green screen before I ever did a video on YouTube. I never used it. It's been there ever since. So if I wanted to, I could whip out a green screen and, have a wild background. But I don't see myself doing it. There's not much room over here. And, I think sometimes it looks kind of goofy. So unless I put myself in somebody's bedroom in the backdrop, that'd be pretty funny. So guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend. Enjoy Raw tomorrow. Let's see what happens with the New Day. It's going to be a wild one. You best damn believe Kevin and I will be talking about it right after Raw. So join us, dtkcdiscord.com. And that's pretty much it. So guys, have a good rest of your weekend. And by the way, 3 weeks from today, December 22nd, Kev will be here. So Sunday, December 22nd will be our Christmas DTKC Show special. So mark it down. That's when we're going to do it. So hopefully you can join us. Be well, everybody. Much love. Catch you all again soon. And I go off the air giving a shout out to Dayhack666. He just signed up as a made member of the family. So I'm looking, and Dayhack just joined the family. So Dayhack, much love, my friend. Give you another shout out tomorrow with Kev. Be well, everyone. Take it easy. See you all again soon.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.
Are you happy now? I figured Why am I going to sit like a goof parked and do the duck again? I'll do it with a little music in the background. I won't wear the mask. And I don't know why you people are requesting this, but here you go. Are you happy now?